I'll turn to item number 7.
Thank you, Mayor and committee members. Ed Vanino, Chief Financial Officer. I'm joined by our Chief Information Officer, Kerrica Laake. He's also the Director of Austin Technology Services. Kerrica is going to do most of the talking today, provide an update for you on efforts underway to optimize our technology spend. It's been one of the areas of fastest growth in our city's budget since I've been here for about 17 years now. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? It's a technology age, so it's not too surprising that our technology spend has been growing. But given the kind of the harsh realities of the financial constraints we find ourselves under, the historic growth rate really isn't sustainable, and so we needed to take a hard look at that spending and find ways that we might be able to operate more efficiently and effectively. Of course, there's been a lot of conversation subsequent to Proposition Q failing, conversation amongst city council members who recently approved an ordinance change to require efficiency audits, and there's still discussions at the community level about a potential ballot initiative related to efficiency audits. I'm really proud to say that we didn't wait for the city council or the community members to say, you know what, we need government to operate more efficiently. This is an effort that's been underway for nearly a year now to take a real hard, comprehensive look at our organizational structure, our management structure, our governance, our strategy implementation, contract negotiations, and also reviewing literally well in excess of 1,000 applications that are in use across the city, seeking ways to find redundancies and opportunities to improve the efficiency and the delivery of critical information technology services. So I just wanted to tee it up with that. There's a lot of initiatives going on beyond what Kerrica is going to speak to today. She's going to focus primarily on the organizational design work that was led by Gartner Consulting, as well as the application review analysis that's being led by a consulting firm named Parsolva. But Kerrica, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor.
I don't think your microphone's on. Speaking of technology.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor, council members. Kerrica Laake, Chief Information Officer and Department Director for Austin Technology Services. So today I'll share a brief update on our technology optimization initiatives, which include the centralization of technology staff into Austin Technology Services and the citywide application rationalization effort. These initiatives fall under the umbrella of the city manager's efficiency and optimization of city services. As CFO Vanino mentioned, we began these efforts in June of 2025 with Gartner Consulting. They're a technology research and consulting firm. We began with the organizational assessment on how we could increase the value of technology across the city. The goals were on reducing cost, strengthening governance, streamlining and modernizing our application portfolio, and improving overall operational effectiveness. Additionally, we wanted to have recommendations on a more efficient and effective technology operating model to address the demands of a growing Austin. The scope of the engagement included an IT staffing benchmark as well as a high-level IT spending benchmark, along with a request for an intentional organizational design to meet citywide technology goals. So the Gartner assessment showed that Austin spends more than peer cities. And the initial estimate is 81% more, about $210 million a year. Only 30% of our IT staff is centralized compared to 81% in peer cities. And we have 98% more staff. I say this with a caveat. This was a high-level spend benchmark, and we have a phase 2 that's almost completed. We'll be removing the operational technology cost from those numbers that represent some of the technology in our utilities and our airport. Those are normally outside of the general IT cost for spend, so we're going to look at it in that way to make sure we have a good apples-to-apples comparison. I'll also say a finding from the assessment. The current model shows that we have duplicate functions, redundant systems, inconsistent standards, and our departments are maturing at a different level across the city in terms of their technology capabilities. Gartner's recommendation from the study was to align technology staff into Austin Technology Services. In doing that, we established shared services across the city, governance across the city. We centralize our core technology capabilities, and we have shared accountability and focus on a service-first model for technology. This new model reduces the duplication of services that we see, it reduces cost, and reduces cost throughout the technology portfolio. Okay. I'd also like to talk briefly about the centralization of the technology staff into Austin Technology Services. So with City Manager's support of the recommendation, we began the work on transitioning into one Austin Technology Services. So from December through March, there have been information gathering meetings with staff across the city. We're conducting these information gathering meetings to learn more about the work that's being done in the technology work being done across the different departments. At the same time, we've been holding stakeholder meetings with the department directors to understand their concerns and opportunities about this effort. In April, we'll have our team alignment recommendations on new structure for the organization, and we'll begin discussions with departments around those recommendations. We expect in May we'll be sharing the changes with our staff and beginning that onboarding process into the Austin Technology Services organization. I also want to note that we're working on a separate process with a longer implementation timeline for operational technology positions across various enterprise departments to address the essential operations and regulatory requirements that we have in some of those departments. Phase 2 of this effort is the true transformation. Over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll continue to transform IT operations across the city so that we're acting as one focused unit for the city, optimally resourced to centers of excellence that can produce true value in the technology initiatives that we take on for the city. Now I want to speak to the citywide application rationalization. This was in response to a resolution from last year to review the city's technology spend and identify opportunities for efficiency through technology consolidation and reducing overlapping solutions. In July of 2025, the city began work with Parsalvo on a review of our city's application portfolio. They were selected for their data-driven approach, their work with government organizations, and their methodology grounded in industry best practices for doing application rationalization. In August of last year, we kicked off the project with a focus on rationalizing the solution portfolio, reducing cost and reinvestment in innovation, elimination of the redundancy, better security for critical infrastructure, and creating a continuous process for rationalization post-project. There are 6 phases to this project. We're currently in phase 5. There we go. So far, we've baselined the portfolio. We have 1,184 unique applications across the city with 2,009 instances of those applications. For instance, in one department may have the installation of the application, and another department has set up another instance instead of using the primary. The consultants have identified 24 consolidation opportunities that have that represent consolidation of over 300 applications. So one consolidation opportunity would be related to multiple applications that we'd want to reduce into a common platform. They've completed initial analysis on cost benefit, risk, and security overlaps and gaps. We have a dashboard that's been created for tracking performance metrics, and we have recommendations on how to keep the process evergreen through continuous rationalization efforts. Still to come in phase 5 are cost savings analysis that are due later this month, with project closeout in April of this year. And now here it is important to say that the opportunities that have been identified, they've been identified. We want to further vet them, but the work of implementing the program is yet to begin. Having an aligned organization with focus on completing these recommendations will really help drive the effort. Over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll begin the rationalization process focused on our short-term, mid-term, and long-term wins, with an eye on bending the cost curve for IT spending and strategic reinvestment in new technologies and security for the city.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, questions? Yes, Councilmember Fuentes.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. On the slide where you talked about the application rationalization, I mean, just knowing that the city, that we have over 2,000 total software applications across the departments and enterprises, you mentioned that staff has conducted a cost benefit and risk analysis. I'm curious how much in savings were identified if we were to do the 24 consolidation opportunities.
They have identified that at a very high level, but haven't considered the training or the implications of moving people to those new applications. So in phase 5, we'll get the true cost savings analysis. And so we would come back with that information when that is finalized.
And that will be, when do we?
This month.
This month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. My other questions are on the process of the consolidation that city staff is, or that city management is undertaking on this. Can you share just, you've gone through an extensive stakeholder feedback phase. How has this proposed consolidation been received by departmental staff and from the workforce?
Mm-hmm. It's a large change for our organization. And so we have some people who are very excited about the opportunity to work with others across the city and be able to be aligned in teams that do various work. We have people who are excited about working in a larger organization where they have more defined career opportunities and career paths in technology leadership and as a pure technologist. On the other hand, we have people who are concerned about the change. They are very aligned to the mission of their departments. And it is something new. And so as people work through the process of change, we'll be having additional workshops and additional discussions about how we continue to focus on the new culture of Austin Technology Services. We want to make sure that people know that their work is important to our organization, to the city as a whole, and that they have not only the opportunity to focus on the department that they've been working with for however many number of years, but they'll also have the opportunity to more broadly understand how that interconnects with the work that we do as a city as a whole. But to the emotions are mixed on becoming one organization.
Yeah, and colleagues, I just want to draw your attention. We've received a letter from AFSCME, our employees union, just citing pretty significant concerns with the consolidation process. And so the feedback that you've been receiving from city staff, have they been incorporated, or how are you, I know you're not going to be able to take all of it, but how have you all been able to take that feedback seriously and work it into this proposed consolidation?
Sure. So we are looking at all the feedback. When people have questions, we have a dedicated SharePoint site where we're posting answers to their questions. And very honestly, if we don't have the answer, we're sharing that too. This is new for our organization, moving into the centralized model. Different departments have different standards that they are using in their organization. So as we go through this transformation, we're very open to making sure we have a best practice for the city of Austin. So we have that opportunity to together co-create what that looks like for our city.
Last question on my end. Council recently adopted just last week the consultation agreement framework between the city and the union. I'm curious, with the timeline you've laid out here, with this being implemented, the proposed merger consolidation by May, how does the consultation agreement work into this process?
Sure. I might have to.
Yeah, that was just passed, and so that's not been decided yet. So, but we certainly will be following up with what the direction of the resolution it was, to meet with AFSCME and to talk through these issues with them. But as you mentioned, it was just passed. So this process has been in place for nearly a year. And so now we need to incorporate that direction from council into our process.
So that meeting with AFSCME will be taking place between now and...
I think it's going to need to be more than one, yes.
Okay.
But yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Duchin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you both for this incredibly helpful update and the work you've been doing on this for the last year plus. Earlier, you mentioned that you were going to be looking at doing more of an apples-to-apples comparison. I know that even in the Gartner report that we got recently, it outlined some of the challenges that they had when looking at different kinds of departments and their sizes and whether they were enterprise departments and so on. So can you expand on how you're going to try and accommodate some of those concerns that some of those departments might have, where they might have proprietary technology, they might be in different spaces, they may not be exactly comparable to some of the peer cities that we looked at because of the different nature of our cities?
So the first thing I'll share about that is, in talking with Gartner, when they created this study for us, they looked at different models. They took some of our enterprise departments out. They tried to make sure that the peers were comparable in many ways to Austin. Nothing is Austin, so we don't have anything that's going to be perfect. But they were very selective in making sure we had cities of comparable size, with comparable budgets, with
Correct.
comparable functions for their municipalities. That being said, even in that analysis of removing particular components, it's directionally correct. The percentages will change, the dollar spend will change, but it does not change the direction of the study. Might reduce some percentages, right, but it's directionally correct. In this next phase, we've actually gone back to the departments and said, here's everything that we looked at based on what we received from the budget office. Can you go back and identify the components of operational technology? And we will take that into consideration in the phase 2 effort that should finish here shortly.
Okay, and I appreciate that there was probably a lot of sensitivity and that a lot of that's outlined in great detail in the Gartner report in terms of comparing to 4 airports and 1 utility and so on. I just wanted to make sure that it sounds like you've got a plan for trying to the best that we can, compare the apples to apples that you said earlier. And maybe you can just expand a little bit more in the event that, like, for something that is very sensitive or proprietary, the airport, the Austin Energy, if we were to want to say keep security functions within a specific department, is that going to impact the directional notion that you just mentioned? Is it going to impact projected savings? Or is that even on the table for how to approach those sort of, again, particularly departments that may be doing proprietary work or have specific needs that are outside of, say, fleet or HR or something like that?
So those things that are domain specific to those areas of our organization, those are the things where we believe there may still be opportunity for cost savings in shared contracts and bulk buying. But we understand that there might have to be dedicated resources to those functions in those departments that, it's important to their essential function. So that's part of the consideration.
Okay, so the last question is, I know you identified fairly significant numbers, or rather the Gartner report did, regarding $200 million, 81%. Do you have any sense at this stage, given that we're still, it sounds like, several years away from full implementation, of what sort of savings we could be achieving in the near to midterm, right, for the, say, fiscal year 27 or 28 budgets?
I don't have that yet, but I feel like we will have a better number at the end of this month.
Okay, great. Then we'll look forward to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember.
I've got some questions to follow up just on but we can follow up. I'll
Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much for this update.
Thank
Do
you.
you want to talk?
We did want to mention that. Susan, would you like to share? Thank you.
I would love to. The question was asked, will it be on the consultation committee? We do have it recommended for discussion on the consultation committee to make sure that we've got clarity, that we've got engagement, and that we get questions answered. Okay.
Thank you. Members, that concludes the agenda that we're going to complete today for the Audit and Finance Committee. So unless there's objection, the Audit and Finance Committee, and without objection, the Audit and Finance Committee of the Austin City Council is adjourned on March 4th, 2026 at 11:50 a.m. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the presentations. Good meeting.